Have you ever lost someone so important to you, you would do literally anything to bring them back? What if you were presented with a chance to do just that? Would you willingly make your way into the afterlife and find a way to bring them back home? Could you face the fact that you might die on this journey and join them in being lost forever in purgatory? Or hell? We're not sure which. This is the story presented to you in Arum's afterlife journey. Arum is a child whose village has been ravaged by an illness, an unknown illness, we might add, and it's taken everybody they know, including their father. Now they have taken it upon themselves to travel to the underworld and find him. They gather up their father's ceremonial bells, find some of his old fishing buddies, and convince them to take them out to where Arum then throws themselves into the water to travel into the afterlife. This is where you, the player, comes in. You join Arum as they throw themselves into the water and now have to find out what's going on and where their father's soul currently rests. You are greeted by a guardian spirit that throws some clothing at you, plus some weapons, and then leaves you to your fate. They are almost dismissive of you and keep telling you to return to the land of the living. Not realising that if you do return to the land of the living, you're probably going to end up right back here, so he may as well help you. As you journey through the afterlife, there are other spirits that do just the same, saying that you do not belong here. Kind of like me in a pub. There are also other spirits that do help you, such as the little frog that follows you along and keeps you safe, and also grows incredibly large and pushes stuff everywhere. Kind of like the Hulk, but on a slightly smaller scale. Overall, this game has a beautiful aesthetic and is just genuinely charming to look at. The hand-drawn feel works really well with the quirkiness of the characters you meet and even the monsters, though there is an undercurrent of otherworldliness that really works well. Well, obviously you're in another world. And there are odd little design choices that actually really work well as the game goes on. Modernism thrown in with cameras, boys in hoodies that spit tobacco, I think, at you, and wires that seem to go nowhere, and sewers. Ugh. Oh, I can't remember the sewers, though I really haven't explored there as much as I probably should have yet. The limited colour palette works really well with the essence of this game, with the sorrow, the loss and redemption, all being key words that I would like to link to the story of this game. They're obviously what I thought of while playing the game. Minus the sewers. Have I mentioned I dislike sewers? The creatures that you run into on this journey are souls, on their journey through purgatory, following the trials that will decide where they end up. You must follow this path as well and are promoted to a Death Guardian in order to do so. Along the way you find monsters or lost souls that are just people who have wandered from their path, refused their path, or essentially have been cursed by the gods of the afterlife. Because apparently being a dick in real life has consequences. Who knew, huh? There are so many different creatures. Some, as I've mentioned, look more modern, while others are straight out of Eastern folklore. The bosses too each have their own tactics and designs, and the tactics require you to look through and be careful with what you're doing. However, they do tend to be very simple and, if you think about it, really easy, but if you don't get it straight away, you really can feel like you've hit a brick wall. Basically, Arum's journey is not going to be an easy one, and that is true of the gameplay as well. Which is to say, it's hard. I wussed out and went back to play it on easy just to get a feel for the story for the game, only to realise that I could play the whole game with a controller, and that made it a hell of a lot easier. Yeah, I'm a filthy console gamer, what of it? Just kidding. To be honest, I've always struggled with playing keyboard and mouse, even though the pros far outweigh the cons. Games like this are the reason why I just get on better with controllers. It just feels more intuitive to me. Of course, it would have helped to have been told that in the main menu and not just randomly scrolling through the pause screen when I was so frustrated with the first boss. Again, it could just be the console gamer in me not knowing where to look, but most games I've played recently on the PC that have controller options tend to shout out about them even before you get to the main screen. So, and not just hide them in endless menus. I do understand that it's more my issue than the game, but I would like to say if you get this game, it does play an awful lot better on controller, and it did feel a lot less frustrating. The buttons worked better, I didn't feel like I had to constantly stretch with my pinky finger. I have tiny hands, this doesn't work for me, people. I mean, all that added together really makes it frustrating, which obviously, as I've said before, is something that this game really digs into. It's not designed to be an easy game, and honestly, I am fine with that. There are different difficulty levels in this game, and I do feel that once I get better at it, I would be able to move forward and try again on a higher difficulty setting. It would just be slightly more difficult, so it's not unattainable. It feels a lot like a Metroidvania game as well. There's a lot of exploration available to you, a lot of backtracking and hidden objects or secrets that you find. You're definitely rewarded for doubling backs once you have extra abilities. It makes the game that much more enjoyable and also gives you an option for replayability. There are even multiple endings for this game, which adds to that essence, and I'm always up for a game that isn't just a one and done kind of affair. I'm looking at you, Detention. I get the feeling that this game might even lend itself to speedruns, so for those of you who like that kind of thing, get on it. I mean, seriously, pause this video, I know there's not much left of it, but pause it and get on the speedruns. I would like to expect one in the next couple of months, please. That's my request. So overall, this is a really lovely game. It's really heartwarming, or at least I would say it is, but that all depends on the ending that you get. It's beautifully drawn, and the attention to detail shows through in the music, the story, and the gameplay. They've really honoured the cultures that they drew this inspiration from for the game, and if you like the kind of game where you can appreciate the beauty and the story, this is definitely for you. If you just like puzzles, platforming and exploration, then this is also for you. It's a great all-rounder if I'm honest, but just please don't think going into it it's going to be easy. It's not a Mario game. Like the Trials of Purgatory After Death, it's a journey, and one I really don't think you should miss. It really is very rewarding, and I highly recommend this game.